Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the TAPED podcast, the most melted podcast in the world. We are your hosts, as always, myself, MickyT.
And me, Nostalgia.
And welcome back to another edition of our interview series. And today's guest we've had on the podcast actually very recently, a few weeks ago, on our Death Worst to Best. And if you haven't seen that already, please go give that a watch. But for now, please welcome Robert Walton, the host of the Metal Meltdown.
Whoa, it's me. I'm the guy. I do the thing.
Thanks for coming back, man.
I'm back. Back at it again. Don't call it a comeback. Don't, 'cause that's just don't.
Okay, fair enough. And thanks for taking the time out of your day to talk with us again. It's a real pleasure to have you back on.
Yep.
It's a pleasure to be back on. I love rambling and ranting, and I will take any occasion, any opportunity to do so.
Ah, yes. How fun. And, I suppose to start things off, just tell us about yourself and just tell us about what you do on your channel.
Okay, so for those of you who are listening and don't know, Jesus Christ, those fucking jets. Sorry, there's like an air show happening in Toronto right now, and there's like jets flying overhead, and it sounds like missiles are being launched.
Oh, holy shit.
I don't know if it'll show up. Fucking hell. All right. Anyway, for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Robert Walton. I'm the host of the Metal Meltdown on YouTube. I talk about all kinds of new music from the world of heavy metal, hardcore, and extreme music. I do live streams and interviews with members of the Black Dahlia Murder and Cannibal Corpse and many more. I also talk mad fucking shit sometimes and collect vinyl. And I also drink a lot and swear, and I'm from Toronto, and that kind of sums it up.
Fuck yeah, dude.
We're all about drinking.
That is the best introduction we've had thus far.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so I suppose the first question that I was just looking to ask you, this is just a bit of just a funny one here. Who in your eyes is the biggest douchebag in rock and metal?
Oh, fuck. There's a lot that come to mind. Ted Nugent comes to mind, because I'm just like, every time he opens his mouth, I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. He's such a, like, egomaniac, hyper-conservative bigot, and I just want to punch him in his fucking face. Dude talks mad shit and can't write a riff to save his life anymore, either. But there's also, like, Gene Simmons, who's like, oh, rock is dead, and it's like, dude, you haven't released an album in 10 years. You don't get to talk about the state of rock. You don't get to do it.
Yeah, Gene Simmons is really the worst for me. I cannot stand the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, honestly,
what bugs me about him is he's like, oh, modern rock and roll is dead. It's like, no, the rock you listen to is dead. You know? Like, Aerosmith and Motley Crue, they're done. Rock is still alive and well, though. Like, there are modern rock bands within the past 10 years packing stadiums and selling records, like the Glorious Sons and Ghost. And, you know, metalheads make fun of them, but let's talk about Imagine Dragons. They're selling records. They're making money. They're doing good things. Greta Van Fleet. You know, the list goes on and on. Rock is not as dry and as dead as old fuddy-duddies like him would like to believe.
Yeah, true. I mean, there is a bit of an argument to be had about whether, like, Imagine Dragons is like a proper rock band as well, because like obviously they definitely were a rock band at one stage, and there actually is elements of their new album that kind of say as well. But like, I suppose a lot of their new kind of mid 2010 stuff is just leaning heavily on like on a lot of pop structures and like a lot of pop choruses and stuff like that, and just more electronic. So I kind of categorize them more as pop, if anything. But yeah, there definitely is an argument to be made about, like, I suppose just the rock influences there, and they still sell, so there's that. And Gene Simmons can fucking shove it still,
Simmons.
you know.
Yeah, he can just shove it.
Did you guys see the Kiss coffin?
The Kiss coffin? There's
Wait,
a Kiss.
what?
Yeah, I showed you this, Mick. They're licensing like I don't know what it is. There's some company in, like, I want to say like Kentucky or something, that produces coffins, and they produced an official licensed Kiss coffin.
Why?
And it's the craziest thing ever.
There's no way you could enjoy it because you'd be dead.
Literally.
It's a weird one, but
like
I mean, it exists. You can look it up. Anyone listening.
At least with, like, oh, the Kiss Funko Pop or Kiss Monopoly or something, it's like, okay, it's something you can play with. But a Kiss coffin, you're dead. You die. And then you get put in it. What are you gonna?
It's called the Kiss casket. Casket spelled with a K.
Oh, fuck
Oh
off.
my god.
Just
To be to be fair though, if any band was gonna have their own coffin, it would be Kiss. To be fair, they'll
Very
market the
fitting.
fuck out of anything. They would market the fuck out of anything, so that doesn't surprise me one bit.
I mean, that's true. There's like Kiss and Scooby-Doo movies, Kiss Hello Kitty, Kiss all kinds of shit.
Yeah,
Nuts.
just
You guys ever
marketing the band.
you ever see the Kiss Scooby-Doo movie by chance?
No,
I have
never.
not.
It is insane. It's a display of just pure egomania and stupidity and like a complete lack of self-awareness. Like the whole movie is like, oh, we're going like Zoink Scoob, we're going to Kiss World. So they're going to like a Kiss, they're going to a Kiss theme park, and they're like, oh, Kiss is the greatest rock band ever. I wouldn't want to go to any other Kiss rock band theme park. And it's like, are you implying that there's like a Van Halen theme park or like an Aerosmith theme park? Like, what the fuck? And it's
I'd
like,
love to go to
get your Kiss
If-
cotton candy, and then they travel to an alternate dimension where they have to use Kiss music to save the day. And I'm just like,
Oh my-
this is Scooby Doo. Aren't you like catching criminals and shit?
Yeah.
What is this?
Oh Jesus Christ! Like I said earlier, marketing the band. That's literally all the Kiss is. Holy shit! Oh, I need to see this now. I need to see this.
If anything is killing rock music, it's shit like that. Because if I were like a young kid and I'm like, oh, you know, my older brother showed me like Travis Scott or I'm listening to 100 Gex off of TikTok or God knows whatever else. And then I saw that shit, I'd be like, no, I'm sticking to this new shit. Whatever.
If you guys look in podcast discussion in the server, I sent the link to the Kiss casket.
Kiss casket. Insane.
Oh my god! I can't believe that's real. I honestly can't believe that's real.
How many other bands okay, if hypothetical question for everyone, if you were to have a casket of a band, who do you want it to be? Do you want to be buried in a Kiss casket, or are you more interested in like a Beatles casket or a Metallica casket?
Wait, reading this here, this description here, apparently there's a Pantera casket as well.
Oh, of course there is.
Oh shit! Actually, going back to that question, I could give you an honest answer. I could give you an ironic answer. Which one do you want first?
A bit of both.
Okay, I think the. All right, if I was gonna give an ironic answer, you know what? I would say Limp Bizkit. Bury me in a Limp Bizkit casket. And like proper like, I suppose actual like what I would want to be buried in. Oh fuck, that's a toughie. Shit. Oh fuck.
Bury me
I
in
don't even know.
Bury me in a Cardi B casket just to piss off them metalheads.
Hell yeah. Oh shit. Bury me in a fucking do you know what? Just for the effect, just bury me in a Ride the Lightning Metallica casket. That would be cool.
Oh,
that
hell
would be
yeah.
class. Just
Yeah,
the
no,
lightning
that's
all
actually
over it, that would be
cool, but-
fucking cool.
You
That'd
know
be
what?
fucking
That
cool.
actually is a cool design. Fuck yeah.
And in the Court of the Crimson King casket.
Ooh,
Oh, yes.
that's a
That's
nice, classy one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the face on the front of the casket.
That'd be horrifying, but it'd be so cool. Some grave robber would stumble across that and be like, "Fuck, he's got good
I might
taste."
take the
though."
casket as well. I might take the casket as well.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Put it in the garage. Just leave it there. If someone asks,
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
just tell them.
Oh, I
Found
found
his
it.
grave
I
robber.
found it. Oh god.
What
what
about
about
we
you?
spent we spent the
What
first
about
10
you,
minutes
Steph?
talking about caskets.
Of course. What else is there to
Alright.
talk about?
All right. What's the next question? Nostalgia.
This is a general question about you know, obviously you're a big metalhead. It goes
Yes.
without saying. Around what time in your life did you first get into metal, or even just hard rock, or any sort of more extreme hard music? And what were the bands, the artists that helped push you in that direction?
I mean, I've always kind of grown up with rock music. My dad grew up in the 70s with a lot of punk and glam and classic rock and trad heavy metal. So I was introduced to a lot of stuff like The Clash and the Sex Pistols and Deep Purple and Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne pretty much right off the bat. I think when I started getting really into it would have been closer to middle school. I started getting really into like some Guns N' Roses and Metallica and Marilyn Manson. And I wasn't so much concerned with like genre labels. I was just kind of like, it's weird and dark and heavy and I dig it. And then later on when I got to high school, it's like, oh no, this is actually glam metal, or this is industrial rock, and this is thrash metal. And I was just kind of like, I don't give a fuck, man. I just want to listen to cool jams. Now, granted, there was a period where I was like, I only want to listen to thrash and heavy metal. But like for the most part, it was still just like, you know, it was never like, oh, I'm going to take a fat shit on this genre or a fat shit on that genre. I just kind of wanted to listen to cool tunes and stuff that I liked. There wasn't really any particular one band because there was so much, but the first album I ever bought with my own money, or the first two, I can't remember which one came exactly first, would have been a greatest hits album from Guns N' Roses and Master of Puppets from Metallica.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning Master of Puppets in your reviewing every Metallica video. I remember that especially.
I don't remember which one I bought first, but I know they were bought roughly around the same time. So I guess if you could like pinpoint my love of rock and metal to two specific bands, it would probably be those two.
Yeah.
And then, you know, getting into college and meeting more people kind of exposed me to different types of music. And that kind of helped me explore like genres that I didn't care much for before. Like I got into some metalcore via Code Orange. I got into some black metal via Death Heaven. I got into like doom metal via Ghost. And, you know, just kind of going further down the rabbit hole and discovering of the sub genres like, oh, this isn't prog rock, this is neoclassical new prog, whatever the fuck. Or this isn't black metal, this is melodic post black gaze or whatever the fuck.
Two personal favorite
of the genre labels, some of the genre titles that you can get is just so funny to me. Like,
oh,
especially
absolutely.
with the amount that you can get. Neoclassical dark wave, prog rock, epic symphonic metal.
Yeah, exactly. It's gotten to a point for me. I mean, I use the genre labels for the sake of album reviews because, like, otherwise it just pisses people off. But deep down inside, like, I'm just like, man, I don't give a fuck. It's death metal. Just listen to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I remember getting the one genre label that legit makes no fucking sense to me is brutal death metal. I don't understand that genre label at all.
As opposed to like serene death metal.
As opposed to like casual death metal, as opposed to relaxed and laid back, peaceful death metal. Like that doesn't.
Death metal.
And I'm just like, oh, brutal death metal is defined by like blast beats and pig squeals and really intense guitar work. And I'll be like, so like Pig Destroyer or Cattle Decapitation, and they're like, no, that's Death Grind. And I'm like, what? Bitch, shut up. Like the brutal death metal label makes no fucking sense to me. I don't fucking care what anyone says. Even with that Sanguisugabog album that came out earlier this year, and I had the audacity to say that it was okay, and the brutal death metal nerds lost their shit. But even with that, I'm like, I don't know, it kind of sounds like Obituary and old school 6 Feet Under at parts, aside from some of the like super low guttural vocals. But it's like, no, this is brutal death metal because it has the snare and it has the this. And I'm like, yeah, just like Obituary and really old school 6 Feet Under. Like, I don't fucking understand this. I don't know.
Oh, Christ. Yeah.
The more niche things get, the more confusing it gets as well.
Oh, yeah. It's
truly
ridiculous. Like, now it's like, there's like kaiju death metal because there's like a band like Oxygen Destroyer who are like all about talking about Godzilla and shit. And then there's like kawaii metal or kawaii core, which I guess is where like baby metal comes into play. It's just too much. And that's kind of why, not really getting a little off topic from the actual question, but this is also kind of why on the Metal Meltdown, I'm just like, I don't really fucking care what you define as metal. I'm just here to talk about music. So if you want to talk about music, by all means. But if you want to talk about your fucking top 10 super hardcore underground black metal bands, I don't fucking care. Go talk to someone who cares.
Yeah, I think that mentality is just a bit weird too. Like, they feel like everyone should care about this kind of shit too. But like, people just, obviously there's people that don't give a shit. They just want to listen to the music and don't have to worry about these genre labels. Like, that's perfectly okay. You no need to throw a fucking hissy fit over it or anything like that, you know?
Yeah, life, in my experience, life just gets a lot easier when you stop worrying about these genre labels and you just enjoy music. You enjoy it for what it is rather than hate it for what it isn't.
Yeah, true.
or at least kind of use the genre labels as, what I do is just to identify what you might be getting into rather than defining what you can and cannot listen to. You know,
and don't get me wrong, for that it's fine.
Yeah,
but it does get to a point. Yeah, but it does get to a point where sometimes it's like, oh, this is not post-metalcore, it's post-metallic hardcore. And I'm like, man, shut up.
Oh god, they rate your music
at that point, it's just like, shut up. that's it.
The epitome of that is when you vote for genres and rate your music in the discussion box. There is just sometimes like tracks 4 and 7 are melodic post-punk, I don't know, hardcore fucking drivel. Therefore, I think this should be a secondary, and then everyone calling the person a fucking dumbass, and it's just an argument over the most like niche things. Like 3 of the 14 tracks here are post-hardcore, therefore I think we should at least include it as the third secondary genre. It's like, oh, who cares? I mean, just listen to the album. Like,
I've ran into a few people that are like that, and holy shit, I don't care. I'm not arsed. Like, fuck me.
I remember, yeah, I had a conversation with some guy once who was like, oh, well, it was about some Bring Me the Horizon album, Sempiternal, I think it was. And he was like, oh, well, this is more progressive than other records, so it's like prog rock. And I'm like, dude, no, piss off. Like, no, come on. It's like, oh, no, it's like progressive pop metalcore. I'm like, shut up. Just call it, fuck off.
Yeah. That's actually a good segue into our next question. What are some of your favorite and like least favorite subgenres of metal?
God, the least favorite is easier for me. I don't talk about power metal on the Metal Meltdown a lot because I dislike it. It's just a genre that I don't care for. I don't even really hate it or dislike it per se. I'm just kind of like, man, there's only so many times you can listen to a bunch of 30-year-old dudes talk about dragons and shit while they rip. There's just only so many times. And it's like most of these bands are all Judas Priest clones, except the choruses are way more fucking bombastic and loud and shit. I don't know. So that for me is like, I don't care about that genre. And there's like a lot of deathcore where I'm kind of like, all right, we get it, breakdowns and shit. But at the same time, I can get down with like some Lorna Shore and some Brand of Sacrifice, Shadow of Intent, even some Carnifex and Whitechapel. I mean, I wasn't big on the Carnifex album that just came out. Review literally went up today, a little self-promotion there. But in general, I do enjoy that band. As far as the stuff I really like, I'm getting more and more into like a lot of black gaze lately. I've always been a fan of the genre. That was kind of my entry point into black metal as a whole, with Death Heaven from Sunbather, and some stuff from like Alcest and Algolock, and even more progressive stuff from Enslaved, which is kind of adjacent to that scene. And of course, I'm just a sucker for like just old school kind of like classic rock and hard rock and heavy metal. Like most days of the week, outside of the Metal Meltdown, I'm listening to like a lot of Fleetwood Mac and Judas Priest and like, Scorpions and the all kinds of shit like that. Like that's like comfort food in sonic form for me. It just kind of takes me back to being a kid and exploring rock music.
Yeah, that feeling is incredible.
I will say that outside of rock and metal entirely, I really love a lot of hip hop. Like a lot of people on the Metal Meltdown are shocked to learn that I really love listening to a lot of hip hop, but I do.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Shit. Actually, who are some of your favorite rappers then?
MF Doom. I really like Kendrick Lamar. I like a lot of old school shit too, from Beastie Boys and A Tribe Called Quest. Czarfaced. I really love. I like some even some more modern, like kind of the trap metal kind of shit, like Horror and Backwash. I really like.
Yeah,
lots of cool stuff.
And Backwash is a perfect one for someone who likes metal and hip hop.
Yeah, it's like that perfect combination of those two worlds. And Backwash is just a badass figure, just a black trans woman sampling Black Sabbath and talking about witchcraft and like how much she fucking hates her dad and shit. I'm just like, hell yeah, you go, girl.
Awesome. Yeah, Backwash is awesome. I fucking love Backwash. And you got some
And
good taste in rappers, actually. I just have to say, that is some good stuff. MF Doom, Beastie Boys, all of that shit is class. I love that.
oh, thanks, man. It's I actually when I'm working out, I usually listen to mostly hip hop because I find the beats help me stay focused rather than metal, where it's like, oh yeah, there's all these time signatures and all these weird rhythmic passages and shit. It's like, yeah, don't get me wrong, I love the Dillinger Escape Plan and shit, but it's like I can't work out to mathcore. Fuck that.
Working out in 12 different time signatures.
Yeah. anyone who can do that is a stronger man than I, literally and physically and figuratively.
Honestly, Jesus.
There is definitely a bit of a kind of it definitely more so than any other genre. I think there's a little bit of elitism in metal, where if you say that you're a metalhead and you say that, oh, I love pop as well, everyone's like, no,
yeah,
not allowed, illegal,
and that and that's kind of what I've been wanting to change with the Metal Meltdown, or through the Metal Meltdown, I should say. Because, I mean, the Metal Meltdown's been on YouTube in some form for a long time. It always existed as somewhere for me to just kind of rant and vent and talk mad shit. But starting in like 2019, I was like, I don't know, I'm older now. I want to do more. And this is going to sound weird, but it's the truth. Quarantine and COVID-19 gave me the opportunity to really sit down and be like, what do I want to do? Do I want to keep doing this? Because if I do, then this is what I want to do. I want to get bigger and bolder. And I decided that's what I'm going to do. So, like, I kind of see the Metal Meltdown, despite the fact it's existed on YouTube for a while, I kind of see it as having really been born within the past year and a half. Because that's when we really grew the audience. That's when the things that I'm known for were really established. And one thing that I'm super against is elitism. Like, I won't tell anyone what to listen to, but I don't care. I'm not... Elitism at the end of the day is what's going to kill this genre. If you don't believe me, talk to fucking grunge. Grunge couldn't adapt, and now it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it gave way to post-grunge, too. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Which, yeah, that became the answer to grunge, because the genre couldn't, and I understand that some things by definition can't change and aren't open to change, but that, you just kind of set yourself up for failure. Like, even a genre as conservative as black metal, you have subgenres like melodic black metal and black gaze, and you have bands like Death Heaven and Enslaved and Triptychon and Ghost Bath and Imperial Triumphant, who are doing all kinds of weird and funky shit. And plenty of bands like Mgwa and Uwada, who are still doing that classic black metal sound, but kind of taking it to the next level. And meanwhile, you have something like glam metal, where it's just like, yep, we're going to talk about fucking hookers and doing cocaine and how great it was to be in 1985. Woo! Snorting cocaine off someone's butt.
Hell yeah. No, but what's the word? The just need to change. Like I said, it's important. It really needs to change. And I just don't get why people would just bitch and moan about change. Like, I know people will probably just want to stick to their simple little tunes, but like, obviously, if a genre is going to stay alive, you obviously have to adapt it. It just reminds me of, like, I think in like the mid 2010s, when like a lot of like old heads were just going off about the quote unquote mumble rappers, and how like a lot of like SoundCloud rappers were just blowing up out of nowhere and like bringing a lot of like psychedelic trap sounds to the scene. It's just like, yeah, but this is needed. This change is needed. Obviously, like, you think of artists like Travis Scott and Playboi Carti, like, they're huge right now, obviously. And that's because they were riding that change, and they needed that change to happen. And it did. Look where we're at now. Like, it's gotten more popular. The genre's adapted. And as much as old heads will want to bitch and complain about it, well, like, just fuck you. It has had to happen. And it's happened. Like,
and I would say Travis Scott in particular is honestly one of the most important voices of like this generation of music. He has like found a way to tap into like, he has like tapped into how like bad people are at paying attention, because you'll have all these different time signature changes within songs. Like, Sicko Mode's a great example. You get that main hook with Drake, and then it immediately switches gears. And then they're introducing more psychedelic beats later on, and then Drake comes back. And, it's this whole generation has like a really short attention span, and he found a way to fucking weaponize that via the Astro World album. It's fucking remarkable.
Yeah, Rodeo too. Rodeo is incredible.
Playboi Carti, I admittedly have to listen to more of. I'm not as familiar with a lot of his material.
I would definitely recommend you listen to Dilate. That shit is entrancing.
Hell yeah, I'm down.
Right.
Yeah,
Next question, Nostalgia?
I was just gonna say, yeah, like one of the most exciting things about checking out so much music and listening to so much music is listening to something that you've never heard before. Like, not like exactly a new genre, but like discovering someone who does something so unique and just so different within that sound that's already established is just the most exciting thing for me. So it's a bizarre one that people
Hold on
get.
for one moment. Someone's knocking at my door.
Go home.
Just one quick little moment. Hello, I'm back.
Howdy, man.
Hey.
I got a friend popping by to say hello.
Okay.
So good. We can just transition.
Don't worry, we can still do this.
Yeah. I'll just transition back in as if nothing ever happened.
We have the edits.
I mean, I'm a lazy motherfucker. I wouldn't.
Oh yes.
Just leave it in.
When I did the interview with Michael Wyckoff, we had this conversation on the phone about how to record the interview, and I said, "Fuck it, I'll leave it in because it's funny." Because we were just sitting there like, "Oh yeah, we'll do it," and then it was just two idiots talking, two idiots trying to figure out technology, and we couldn't do it. And I was just like, "This is gold."
Oh shit, that's actually good.
Consider it.
Consider it. Did you want to ask the next question?
Is there any albums that are in maybe some sort of a genre or a sound that, even aside from hip hop, something completely out of your comfort zone, something you don't usually listen to, that you've just either throughout your life or in recent times found yourself listening to, or even seeing as a guilty pleasure, something in the pop sphere, something completely opposite of metal?
Country is a genre that I've kind of stayed away from a lot, but there's one particular album from a particular artist that I keep coming back to. It's Pony by Orville Peck. And Orville Peck is a Canadian singer-songwriter, and he's super fucking gay, and I don't mean that to be crude. I mean literally. He's the gayest fucking singer out there. Like Elton John level. But he writes really personal songs, and he's got kind of a Roy Orbison, Elvis Presley, Jim Morrison kind of voice. The production is really raw, and I just really, really dig that album. And that kind of actually helped open the door to some country for me. Like, I kind of started listening to some Sturgill Simpson and some Chris Stapleton. Still not really my cup of tea as a whole, the genre, but I there are aspects of that genre that I admire a lot more, and it's very much because of that album. And I listen to it very often. It's the one country album I own on vinyl.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that name around, and I think I remember an album cover. I think it was like a blue background with like someone with obviously just a black face with a hat on it. I think I remember that.
Yes, that would be the EP Show Pony, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, okay. Actually, going back to that country thing, there's actually a lot of people are in a similar boat with you when it comes to country, because like I've met a lot of people that are just very dismissive of it because a lot of country is just not that like substantive, and especially bro country, which is just fucking god awful.
I got a goddamn shotgun in my truck, and I like to watch NASCAR and fuck. I voted for Trump, and I hate Colin Kaepernick. Like that.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Just like shit like that. I stand for the flag and I kneel for the cross.
Jesus Christ, like fucking Florida Georgia line and shit like that. It's stuff like that just kind of puts people off of country
Florida
completely.
Georgia line. I'm gonna say it again for everyone listening, watching, whatever the fuck. Fuck Florida Georgia line. Oh yes. My lord.
Yes.
We all need to go back in time. We owe Taylor Swift and Lady Antebellum and all that other pop country a fucking apology, because they ain't got nothing on that fucking band.
Truly fucking no nostalgia. Trey made me listen to their latest album like earlier this year. Holy fuck, it was awful. Oh my
I think
God.
I listened to it too, but my brain chose to not remember any of it for some reason.
I think I know the reason.
It's going on my worst albums of the year list, definitely. For fuck's sake, it's so bad. Oh Jesus! But like,
it's
back to
just
what I was
like,
saying, like,
you know
sorry,
what really like? Don't worry, I'll let you get back on topic on a moment. But what really infuriates me about that stuff is like country at its core is the music of the country. It's the music of the soul. It's Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson singing about what the fuck is going on in their lives and what's going on in their heads. And then you get Florida Georgia Line and all these other pop country bands who are just like, yeah, let's throw in a bunch of guitar solos and auto-tune and let's make this sound as loud and as big as possible. Let's sing about like summer nights drinking whiskey and fucking. And it's just like, kill me. It's like, fuck them liberals, they fucking suck.
Yeah. It's also the juxtaposition between what country started off as and what has become, because country at its core is just like, it's working class music. It's, you know, music about, you know, rural struggles, and it's just turned into like people, multi-millionaires who probably the hardest work they've ever done is getting off and on their private jet.
Unions and all hail Mitch McConnell because he's the greatest.
Yeah, trying to write about stuff that is just so dishonest and just so like, obviously it's just produced to be popular. You know, everyone rags on.
If Johnny Cash had heard Florida Georgia Line, he'd have killed himself.
Oh fuck!
He would re-record the cover of Hurt to make it about Florida Georgia Line as opposed to his life.
Oh god! Oh god! Like throwing the occasional trap beat there as well, and then you got a bro country song. Honestly,
yeah.
Ugh, Christ. And like back to what I was saying about that, like obviously with like Florida Georgia Line, just all like the whole pop country shit, just like people get like a bad like taste in their mouth when it comes to country, but like I was more or less the same. But I think about a year ago when I started like going through a bunch of like classic albums from like the 60s all the way up, there was actually some country albums on there and they were honestly amazing. I honestly really fucking loved them. Like Gunfighter Ballads by Marty Robbins was one. That one is fantastic. I love that one. And Johnny Cash's Live at Folsom Prison, that is fantastic. Man. And then there's stuff later on as well that I really enjoy that more or less like big bands are more or less big bands embracing that kind of stuff. Like there was some Rolling Stones stuff that embraced a bit of country. There were some other things, and like country at its core, it's a great genre when you find the right stuff. But like I just feel like people are already like very dismissive of it because of these like very acts that are just very commercial and just obviously just being just insufferable, where they're just making music to like get with women and just like drink all day, or just being just like stupid fucking conservative alt-right dickheads. Like it's so dumb.
It's insufferably white and inoffensive to the point of being so offensive, because it's just like you've completely missed the point of this fucking genre. You've completely totally missed it. And like you got the aforementioned Orville Peck, Chris Stapleton, Sturgill Simpson, and actually, since we're on the topic, I've been really enjoying another album lately from an artist called Sierra Farrell. She's a singer-songwriter from Nashville, Tennessee. Debut album's fucking amazing, like classic old-school country voice, but she's also playing around with like jazz music and big band and swing music. But aside from artists like these, so much of this genre is dominated by these over-processed fucking celebrity figures who are just like, yeah, fuck unions and all hail Trump. And it's just like, no, you've missed the point of this entire genre. You don't get it.
Yeah, country has just become bastardized. It's sad. I think next question that I have, did you ever actually make music yourself, or were you in any bands or anything like that? Obviously, you talk a lot about music. Kind of curious if you ever wanted to make music yourself.
I've made like demos and EPs and shit with bands over the years. In college and high school, jumped back and forth between like punk rock bands and shit. I was in a band. Actually, the guy who was in a band with me is sitting across from me right now. We were in a comedy grindcore band called Walking Sex Monster at one point. And we made music that was generally crude but insane. And like we had a song called the Type 2 Diabetes Burger Boogie, which was I played trumpet on that fucking song, and it was basically just a really dancey kind of metal tune. And we had another song called Cindered Pope, which would require all of us on stage to switch instruments. So like I was typically the vocalist, but for that song I played guitar, and Moose was typically on drums, but he sang. And so, you know, I think it was Mark was the only one who didn't switch instruments. Am I right? Yeah, that's what he was because he like straight up didn't know fucking anything else. I don't know. Maybe in retrospect, we could have put him on fucking keyboards or some shit. Just like press a single note. And even before that as well, I played in like jazz bands in high school and stuff because I got really into like jazz trumpet. And that was pretty cool. But nowadays, I just don't have the time to play music. Like the moment I got like halfway through college and started working full time and like getting into culinary stuff, it was just like, dude, I don't have the time to play music. I mean, I've tried. I've had ideas for music. Like I actually wrote like a super political like industrial grindcore record last year. It was I had a band name and everything, and I was ready to record it. But I kind of figured, you know what? By the time I get this done, it's going to be dated and irrelevant. Ironically, I was wrong because here we are a year later talking about many of the things that album talked about. The election. But, you know, you know, what are you going to do? And who knows? Maybe I'll go back to it eventually. And even now, I've been slowly working on something called Burrs Come, which kind of started off as a meme on the channel. And now it's turned into like a legitimate idea for like a super gay, primitive kind of black metal band. Who knows? Maybe one day it'll turn into something like a little bit more official. But nowadays it really is just like ideas and like riffs and songs that I'll play around with and send to other people and be like, what do you think of this, man? And whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I've kind of thought about it for a while, but I never actually felt like writing music myself or anything like that. I've mostly just been like, I play bass, guitar, and drums, but I just play them for fun. Like, I just don't bother. I just like to get on the drums and just slap them around just for the hell of it. And when I'm in intervals, just to do something other than like just listen to music or play video games. I just feel like just having fun on the drums. And I would play my guitar more, but one of my strings is broken and I need to fix that shit. And I played the basses. I played a bit of the bass as well, but like I've been more so just playing the drums. I've never like, I guess I just never been like a band or anything like that. I've always thought about it, but I just play it for fun, really. I just haven't really had the time either.
And for me at this point, that's a lot of what I do. Just like, let's just have fun, man. Like, I'm done with this.
And also,
there's just no time to do much more.
Yeah, and also playing an instrument, even if it's casual, it just gives you appreciation for like music in general and how it is, you know, how much it takes to craft even a single song. So even because of that, I mean, it's still, I mean, I was in a band growing up, but I don't have nothing going on right now and no real plans to. Maybe one day, you know, I'll wake up with some inspiration. But I mean, playing the drums is still fun, and I'll just do it because it's fun.
Two-man band, me nostalgia. Let's go.
Both on drums.
Go for it. Do it.
Both on drums. Two drummers. We're like the core of King
Two
Gizzard
drummers.
and the Lizard. We're a core
Why
of
not?
King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Does it. Hey, you know, fucking. Let's be honest. Slipknot is like 90% percussion nowadays. Fuck it, just do it.
True. Actually, I think the second drummer for
what was that, Moose? King Crimson has two. Do they really? Huh.
Oh, King Crimson do as well?
Yeah, apparently they do, according to Moose here. I didn't know that.
Wait,
I know a guy that saw King Crimson last night in New Jersey, and apparently there were like 30 people in the crowd.
Wait, really? Oh, God.
Yeah, apparently. I mean, to be fair, COVID, but also to be fair, King Crimson. It's like, come on, guys. No one wants to see King Crimson? Are you kidding me?
I would kill to see King Crimson. Like,
right?
Hell.
They were in Toronto a few years ago. They played a show at... did they play at Massey Hall? Were you at that show? Yeah. And I think they did another one later on at Budweiser stage, but like... I guess that's the difference. I want to see King Crimson, but I don't know if I want to see them in like a stadium. I don't know if they have that big of a sound per se, but... I don't know. Then again, who fucking knows, eh?
If I ever get the opportunity, I will try, and hopefully I get to see them live. That would be class.
Maybe I can pitch them my fucking industrial grindcore band.
First album in over 20 years. It's going to be industrial grindcore. Let's go.
Hell yeah! You know, by sheer coincidence, I actually pulled up the fucking album, and I'm like looking at some of these songs, and I'm like, "Fuck! I changed my mind. I need to record this."
Oh yes.
I gotta.
Alright, so
There's a song here called "Ted Nugent is a punk ass bitch."
yeah, that's good. That's fucking good.
Oh
Alright,
yeah,
so
we're definitely doing this.
okay. Alright, next question for that I have. Music is often known for its musicians and vocalists and shit like that, but obviously that's especially the case when we're talking about metal music. So who do you think is like the best metal vocalist, guitarist, bassist, and drummer of all time? And if you could get all of these men or women in one room and just like get a super group going, who would they be?
Damn. The singer one is tough because there's a lot of metal I'm a singer by craft. That's what I've always played in bands. You know, I know trumpet and guitar, but I've always been the singer. So I always connect more with them. And as a result, there's like a million singers coming to mind. Probably the two that I try to emulate the most and that inspire me the most would be like Bon Scott from like the first few AC/DC albums and like Ronnie James Dio. So I'm tempted to go with those two. Guitar wise, I mean, shit. Eddie Van Halen, Randy Rhoads, Dave Mustaine back before he was a total fucking nutso. And Dave Davidson is probably one of my favorite modern rock or metal guitarists. Like that dude can shred like a motherfucker. Like he went to Berklee School of Music. He knows his jazz, and he plays like thrash and technical death metal, but there's all kinds of jazzy shit interwoven between it. A lot of like classic prog influence. Dude's a fucking beast. As far as drums are concerned, I mean, I'm tempted to go with my boy Moose because he's sitting right here.
Shout out to Moose.
But like, damn. I mean, this is maybe not the most common answer, but Steven Adler on that first Appetite for Destruction album, there's something just so primal about his percussion. Guns N' Roses was never able to recapture the sound of him on drums with anyone else. They've tried, they can't come close. Bass is where it gets a little more difficult because you just don't hear a lot of bass in rock and metal anymore. Not for lack of trying, just producers don't know how to handle bass for some reason. So my gut says Cliff Burton because he's like the one bassist you can consistently really hear in a lot of metal, and like his bass work is so important to like how we approach even playing bass within the realm of metal. So much so that Metallica literally was like, we can't do this without Cliff, so we're just gonna cut Jason off of And Justice for All because we literally can't do it without Cliff.
Well, I have a sort of a spin-off question because you did mention Dave Mustaine and Cliff Burton. Metallica or Megadeth? Which side are you on?
Oh, God. I mean, man, Rust in Peace is an all-time favorite album, but if it weren't for Metallica, I would not love this genre the way I do. I mean, again, Master of Puppets, one of the first albums I ever bought. So it's tough, man. You know what? I've seen both live. Metallica puts on a better show, and in the grand scheme of things, that's what matters more. So I'm going to say Metallica. No disrespect to my boy Dave. You and I disagree on a lot of things, but I still love you, Dave.
Oh yeah, I'm Team Metallica as well. Let's go.
Yeah, Team Metallica. Anna, Metallica or Megadeth? Metallica or Megadeth? Megadeth! Oh, Moose is the outlier here. Fuck you, Moose.
Oh, the lone Megadeth enjoyer. The lone Megadeth enjoyer.
Yeah. Hey, man, Megadeth got plenty of jams, too. Yeah. I mean, the aforementioned Rust in Peace, Euthanasia, Countdown to Extinction is a great record. Like, one of the best, like... There's a period in the mid-90s where every thrash band following the success of the Black Album tries to make a more straightforward heavy metal hard rock album. Testament does it. Overkill does it. Anthrax does it. They all fall flat on their ass. Megadeth does it, and not only do they not fall flat on their ass, but they make an album arguably better than the Black Album. Not as successful, but arguably better.
Honestly, I'm more of a Black Album person on that regard. I do really like Countdown to Extinction, but like I just can't. I really there's so many bops in the Black Album that I really like. Plus, I love the songwriting on that album too. Like,
Black
geez,
Album's still pretty great though. Don't get me wrong. But for me, it's
yeah.
like Black Album's a 4 out of 5, and Countdown to Extinction's like a 4.5 out of 5. Like we're talking like a 0.5 of a difference, razor thin margin.
Fair enough. I suppose my argument for Metallica and Megadeth, I think I just prefer Metallica more because I just guess I have more of a connection to Metallica, honestly, and I enjoy more of their material. Like, don't get me wrong, I do like Megadeth. I love a lot of their albums. Rust in Peace is fantastic, and there's a few other shits in there like Peace Cells and what was their third album? I actually think that one's really good. I like that one.
So far so good.
No,
So far so
no,
good.
not,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
That's
So
the
far
third
so good.
album.
I really like that one, but
Yeah,
like
it's a great album.
Yeah, but like for Metallica, I fucking love Kill 'Em All. Absolutely love Ride the Lightning. Masterpiece, Master of Puppets. I love the Black Album and Justice for All. Love that shit too. Like, One is my favorite Metallica song, so of course I fucking love that album. But
the song One still puts chills down my spine.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
I've gone back and forth on that album over the years because of the production, but even despite that, that song has consistently rocked my fucking world.
yeah, same. And like, obviously, I feel like both bands did eventually fall off, like most bands do. But like, I guess Megadeth haven't made an album that's as god awful as Saint Anger, so they kind of get a point on that merit. But I just prefer I prefer Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets over Rust in Peace, honestly.
As you know, Megadeth haven't made anything as bad as Saint Anger, but they have made more not great albums than Metallica, in my opinion.
Yeah,
like
yeah, I agree actually.
13, Super Collider, both of those two combined are some of the most tired and god-awful dad rock I've ever heard.
Yeah, especially Super Collider. Holy fuck.
Risk is fine, but it's just weird. It doesn't even really sound or feel like Megadeth. I don't know. It's like if Blind Melon tried to write a Nine Inch Nails album. It's just really fucking weird.
Yeah, I think like Risk, when it comes to Risk, like, I get what they were trying to do with that album, but the thing is, I just don't really find it all that interesting. I just find it boring, to be honest.
Yeah,
that's like the only reason I don't like Risk. It's just kind of boring.
The late 90s is such a weird period for hard rock and heavy metal that I kind of give it a bit of a pass. But then we get to World Needs a Hero, and I'm just like, wow, this is some of the most unenthusiastic and frankly just sloppy thrash metal I've ever heard. Like, some of Megadeth's worst performances ever with any fucking lineup. That was fucking trash. I don't understand anyone who defends that fucking album.
Honestly. I don't think anyone defends Super Collider, so I'm fine with calling that fucking awful.
And honestly, even Dystopia, like, that was hailed as their big comeback album, and I'm like, it was okay. You know, you had some awesome drumming from Chris Adler, and you had like some great guitar work from Kiko Loureiro, but like, some of Dave's lyrics are just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what are you thinking? Like, it's a lot of like, kind of xenophobic shit, and there's like a lot of shit where it just sounds like he's rambling like a conspiracy theorist. I don't know. To his credit, he's calmed down a lot since that album came out. Like, he's not as crazy as he used to be, but it's hard not to forget that album nonetheless. It's hard not to forget just how like if my dad had said some of the shit that Dave Mustaine says on that album, I'd be like, yo, Dad, you don't talk to me anymore. don't fucking call me.
Oh, God.
Like, I'll see you at Thanksgiving, maybe.
Okay, so, actually, I just thought about this now. What are some of your, like, favorite metal album covers of all time? Because when I was thinking of, like Rust in Peace, that album cover is fantastic. I love that one. And that just came to my head there. So what do you think is like your favorite metal album cover of all time?
Damn. As I speak, I'm looking up and I have two flags across from my TV. There's one with Our Raw Heart from Yob, and there's one with Reek of Putrefaction from Carcass. They're beautiful pieces of art. I mean, Carcass is more disturbing than beautiful, but it's kind of fascinating nonetheless. Like, it's just like, Jeff Walker and Bill Steer just had this weird fascination with like medical imagery, and they stole like Jeff's sister, if I'm not mistaken, was a nurse, and they would steal like medical files from her with like all these decomposing bodies and shit. And they were like morbidly fascinated, and they used that to construct the album cover. I kind of dig that. Holy Diver comes to mind as well.
Yes, that's the one that came to mind for me.
Yeah. Behind me, actually, I have a Holy Diver picture disc, and it looks fucking stunning as well, not to brag. A lot of like old school death metal in general comes to mind. There's a lot of really cool artwork there. Like the first 2 Gorgut records, some of the Cannibal Corpse stuff, as gruesome as it is. I mean, that stuff just like pushed the envelope for like what we were able to do within artwork, not just for heavy metal, but for music as a whole. I mean, it got to the point where fucking the U.S. presidential candidate Bob Dole was like, "Oh yeah, Cannibal Corpse is a threat to the nation." You know, and that's fucking Chad shit. That's fucking Chad shit right there. No one talks about that enough, but that's amazing.
That shit's so fucking hilarious. That's so fucking hilarious. So good.
As far as like, there's also a lot of modern stuff too. Like I really love a lot of the Protest the Hero album covers, especially Palimpsest. I think it's a really beautiful, provocative piece of art. There's something about like the Wall Street Bull just charging through an American flag, and he's being followed by all these other symbols, like an American dog, like all these American dogs and a bald eagle and all these creatures that we kind of associate with America, just kind of charging through amidst gunfire and fireworks. There's something really kind of powerful about that. The album cover for Alphaville, Imperial Triumphant as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that one is so good.
Stunning. I've got it on a gatefold vinyl, so when I open it up, it's like this giant, it's almost like a long poster. It's really beautiful.
So,
I don't know, man.
You're so lucky. I want that so bad. I love that album and I love that artwork. I need it. I fucking need it.
So cool, dude. It's wild on me, Moose, and our other buddy Luca. We listened to it last year. We didn't drink, we didn't smoke, we didn't anything. We just sat around and listened to this chaotic, avant-garde, jazzy, blackened death metal, and we were just like, what the fuck is happening? It was like it was like a bonding moment, because it was like, what the fuck is happening? I don't know, dude, but hold my hand. It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah. No, first time I listened to that album, I was just in a trance. I was like, what the fuck is going on? But in like a good way. It was just so cool. Like, it was so weird, but like, holy shit, it's just amazing. Like, it sounds incredible.
I will say though, my favorite album cover ever is not a metal album. My favorite album cover ever belongs to the Uncanny Valley from Perturbator. For those, if you don't know who they are, they're like a synthwave kind of like EDM act. I've always described their music as like Las Vegas in a nutshell. Just like, or like if Las Vegas was in Blade Runner, like it's just really dark, a lot of like really heavy bass parts and keyboard parts. And the album cover has like this like naked woman who's kind of draped herself with like a single cloth amidst this backdrop of the city. And it's like a lot of neon, a lot of bright pink and purple. And it's just a really stunning piece of art. I love it. Great album too, since we're on the topic.
I'm a sucker of neon, bright pink and purple, man.
Mm-hmm. It's just bad. I remember showing it off during the vinyl stream about a month ago, and I had to actually cover the album cover at a certain point, because guess what? Naked women have nipples, and for some reason the internet can't process that. I don't fully understand it. I don't know. That's a whole other fucking thing. I won't get into that.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for like, I don't know what it is about like kind of like hot pinks mixing with like kind of a bluish kind of like, I guess not even baby blue, like kind of a darker shade of that. Like, I don't know what it is about those kinds of album covers, but they look fantastic to me. Like King Cruel's The Ooze. that shit looks beautiful to me. Oh yeah, I fucking love that one.
Okay,
I'm kind of blends in.
I am so sorry to interrupt, but Moose has just reminded me of the most terrifying album cover of all time. Moose, why don't you just come to the mic and tell us about it? just come right up into the mic, by all means. Tell us about this horrifying album cover.
I can't really explain what the cover
Feel free to look this up for yourself.
But it's an album called The Waiting Room by Tindersticks, and there's like a donkey that's sitting on a table just staring at you, and the donkey has like, its flesh is like carved out.
Yeah, there's like a sizable chunk of his face missing,
and he's got like a puppy that he's wearing or something.
And he looks like he's sitting at like grandma's dinner table or something, and he's wearing a suit for some reason, and he's in a cold, dark room.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Bro, what the
Are
fuck
you?
is this shit? Yeah, I'm looking it up now. What the fuck is
It
this
kind
shit?
of reminds me of Bad Bad Not Good too.
All right,
Yeah, that's that
hey.
one.
Fucking, I like jumped a little bit and snapped the cord on my headphones. You still got me?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're good then. Yeah, I
we're
remember
good.
we were in Sonic Boom. This was a while ago. This was not recent. We were in Sonic Boom, which is it's the giant record store here in Toronto, biggest one in Canada. Actually, I learned very recently. And you just found this on a fucking whim. You weren't looking for it. It wasn't something you were like, oh, I'm gonna find the weirdest shit in the world today. You just found it and discovered that it sounded every bit as horrific as the album cover implied, and you bought it. And it's become like a meme within our group of friends.
Oh, that's class. That is actually class.
What
Oh, God.
genre even is this?
I don't know. How would you
I look
describe
at
it sonically, Moose?
It's
Like singer-songwriter, adult contemporary? Because it reminded me of Leonard Cohen when I remember listening to it. But that was a while back.
Ah. Yeah, that seems more like in the singer-songwriter lane then, if it's kind of like Leonard Cohen. I get that.
You don't really know what to expect with that cover.
They're like, what?
I mean,
Alternative rock? I mean, it definitely falls within that like alternative category. By default, I mean, holy shit.
I need to hear this album now. I'm so curious.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Whatever sound you imagine when you look at that album cover, that's exactly what the album is.
Oh
God.
shit! I'm excited for this. I'm excited.
You have the Metal Meltdown on your fucking podcast, and we're like, oh yeah, I love hip hop and country, and here's some weird fucking like whatever the fuck Tinder Sticks is. Thank you, Moose, for that, by the way.
Thank you, Moose. That was incredible.
I've always kind of considered him the unofficial third co-host of this thing, alongside Anna, who is actually the unofficial co-host because she shows up on all the streams and shit now. I mean, you do.
Yeah.
You know, lets you help with like other stuff and yeah.
The Metal Meltdown is a brand now.
I mean, sure, why not? I'm down. I mean, the moment we start selling Chompy merch, it will be a brand for real.
Oh, shout out to Chompy.
Shout out to Chompy. Where is that little bugger anyway? He's on the bed? I mean, it doesn't matter. They can't see him, but whatever. Oh, yeah, Neutral Milk Hotel. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that one's...
Is it a potato slice or a drum?
I was just about to say the discourse behind that. Potato
like how
slice or drum.
I think it's a bit of both. Here's Chompy. Hi, Chompy. Yeah, we're gonna sell merch for this motherfucker in the next couple of months. It's gonna be great.
Hell yeah.
I did not expect Chompy to be as popular as he turned out to be, but it's wonderful.
Incredible. He's pushing the brand forward.
He really is. Like, it's gotten to the point where people are like, bruh, fuck whatever you gotta say. I want to see Chompy. It's awesome.
A blessing and a curse.
It is, but hey, I give the people what they want, you know? I mean, even for the Carnifex video today, I did this bit where it's like, oh boy, there's a new Iron Maiden album out, and there's nothing else coming out this weekend, and then Chompy would like come up to me and be like, he'd whisper in my ear, hey Robert, there's a brand new Carnifex album. And it's like, we're gonna integrate him into the channel like that too. Like, we'll do more streams where you can see my face, and I'll have Chompy right there by my side.
Sick. Awesome. Bit unrelated. I did have a question because earlier you mentioned you were in a jazz band.
Yes.
Do you still listen to much jazz? Are you a jazz head?
I actually don't, and it's not so much because I dislike the genre. I don't know. Jazz kind of requires a specific mood for me nowadays. You know, like it's not something I can. It's not something I can play at the family barbecue. It's not something I can play working out. You know. It's very much just like, you know, we're me, Moose, and Anna here. We're hanging around the apartment. Maybe later tonight, crack open a couple drinks and just chillax. It's that kind of music, you know. You need to be in a certain relaxed state of mind for it. And not to mention, me and Anna, we have different schedules. Me and Anna, she works during the day, and I work mostly nights, so I can't really come home at night and like put on a vinyl record. So that kind of hurts my options for jazz as well. But I do still like a lot of jazz, but it is a genre I'm not as closely bonded with as perhaps metal.
Yeah, understandably so. And like I suppose like we only got into jazz like about a year ago or very recently. We just explored a lot of the big stuff that you'd get into, like Miles Davis and John Coltrane and all that. And I still love those records. I can still throw them on casually and just have a good time with them. Like I have a few Miles Davis records and I have a few John Coltrane ones too. I could just throw them on casually and just relax to them. They're actually really good to just relax to, obviously, because like it's jazz. Like, but there's obviously some like there's different kinds of jazz, and like there's actually some heavier kind of stuff too. Well, stuff that you can't really just relax to, I guess. Like I guess Art Blakey, who was just like very thunderous on the drums and stuff like that.
Oh wow!
So
okay,
and I definitely recommend that. He's an incredible jazz drummer.
Art Blakey's insane.
He's like. You're about to say, Robert?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say like nowadays I think a lot of the jazz I probably listen to is coming more through metal. Like it's a lot of like jazz technique and stuff, like Intronaut, the aforementioned Imperial Triumphant. There is a band, or I guess they're a band. It's hard to tell. There's only one album, but they're called Brain Tentacles, and it's just really weird, kind of avant-garde and art rock and jazz. It's very weird. I love it though. It's got the drummer for Municipal Waste of all fucking people too. I don't know. I guess I don't know. I don't know how that motherfucker got into jazz, but good for him, I guess.
Now, have you checked out Neptunian Maximalism?
No, but that name is incredible. Neptunian Maximalism, is that correct?
I'm surprised. They're interesting. You might actually really.
Yeah, I think you dig them a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're this very weird, like kind of like avant-garde, like jazz death metal band, I guess. And they're super fucking weird. Their stuff is super mind-bending. I'd say you'd be super into that.
Yeah.
I've never heard of these guys. God, that album cover's insane. I'm looking at it now.
Which one?
I think
Eons.
Yeah, Eons is fantastic.
Is good. Eons is fucking good.
There's also a single out from earlier this year. Is that whoa, that's a single? It's one song.
Oh, it's an album. It's one track.
That's an album.
That's an album?
Yeah,
it's just one long track.
I'm listening to that fucking album. Holy shit.
You have to listen to Aeons too, man. That shit is incredible.
It's a little demanding because it's quite long, but I think it's right up your alley.
This is clearly a band I got to pay a lot of attention to. Holy fuck, this is cool.
Yeah, that's a recommendation from us.
Oh god, how recent is this? Can I review it?
Well, one came out this year. Aeons came out last year.
Okay, I was hoping
Solar Drone Ceremony came out this year.
Okay, cool. I'm definitely gonna check this out, regardless of when it was fucking released or whatever. This is cool.
Yeah,
this is the kind of shit I like. Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite things about the Metal Meltdown is just exploring like really weird and cool music. Like, don't get me wrong, talking about Iron Maiden and Carnifex, it's like I know that'll bring in people, so of course I'm going to talk about them. But what gets me really excited is when I get something like this, and I'm like, oh fuck yeah, let's really dissect this motherfucker. Like I had a blast reviewing the Lingua Ignota record that came out earlier. I had a blast reviewing the Lantlos record that came out earlier. And like Fulci and even the Dark Throne record, because I mean they were playing around with like a lot of like doom and black metal and trad metal influences. It's just more fun to talk about weirder music.
Yeah, it really is, honestly. And this shit is definitely weird. So it'd be interesting to see you talk about it in the future. But like, if you like, it's just something to recommend anyway to listen to, because I'm pretty sure you might dig this.
Oh, I think I already do. I mean, I haven't listened to a second of it, but I think I already do. This is just it's too up my alley for me not to like it.
Do you have any questions, Victor?
I have no more questions.
I've two more. Well, I'll get to a bit of a shorter one first, and then we'll finish off the way we usually finish off with an unpopular opinion. So maybe have that brewing in your head.
Opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Firstly, I want to ask: is there any completely underground like metal bands that probably no one listening would have heard of, or at least very few people, that you think people should absolutely check out? That are, around today that are exciting and you think have a bright career ahead of them?
Let me. I usually talk about a lot more underground shit when I do the albums I missed videos. So let me just pull some of that up for a moment because that'll help me remember. Because there's so much stuff that often comes my way. I can only remember so much off the top of my head.
Understandable.
I remember this one. This one was I talked about this guy. I talked about these guys back in April. Stone Healer. They play like some really cool kind of progressive death metal. They're good friends of my buddies over at Forge Master Metal Reviews. They make good shit. Swamp Beast, I did review this album earlier this year, and it was actually a pretty popular review. But despite that, I'm seeing nobody talking about this album in any fucking capacity, which is a shame, because I think it's like one of the best pieces of blackened death metal in recent memory. Just really nasty, chaotic shit. There's Project Mishram as well, which is just really weird, kind of Middle Eastern, jazzy prog death metal again. Just weird shit. I don't know, man. There's so much stuff. I mean, there's some larger bands as well that I feel like people are still kind of sleeping on. Like The Lion's Daughter is a band where I'm like, man, they're signed to Season of Mist and they put out a few records and yet nobody's fucking talking about them. What the fuck? This needs to change. They're so unique and cool. But as far as like the super underground shit is concerned, I would say like Stone Healer, Project Mishram, and Swamp Beast. They all got a very bright future ahead of them. Very bright.
Right.
Cool.
I'll definitely give those a listen soon.
Yeah, shout out to them.
Indeed. Definitely listen to them. You got recommended here.
And you know what? On that note, I'll also give a shout out to Hammer. They're an American heavy and speed metal band. Those are the guys that actually do the introduction at the very beginning of every video. That whole, you know,
Yeah.
So check them out if you're in the mood for just some good old-fashioned meat and potatoes heavy metal glory.
I'll definitely give them a listen to. I see them every time I try and open up one of your videos.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually, as much as I do love the Hammer guys, we're probably going to switch out that intro soon because it's been there for a while. So any young, cool, rad dudes who like metal and want to make a theme song, let me know. Hit me up.
And yeah, on that note, I think we'll get to the closing segment of the episode. What are some of your unpopular opinions?
Unpopular opinions. Ghost gets way too much fucking hate. I don't understand why metalheads just like, oh, it's pop, it's who fucking cares? It's good. You know, okay, I got a really unpopular one. This and Mickey, we actually talked about this last time before we started recording. Lulu gets way too much fucking hate. Way too much fucking hate.
It absolutely does.
It's by no means a perfect album. Don't get me wrong. It's flawed. But the pros outweigh the cons here. It is disturbing. It is intimate. It is Metallica at their most experimental, at their most raw. It is Lou Reed with some of his darkest lyrics, some of his most provocative vocal performances. There's definitely some weird shit. You know, I Am the Table is definitely still pretty cringy. But there's also Dragon and Pumping Blood and the incredible Junior Dad. That song is remarkable. Like, we could laugh at I'm the Table all you fucking want. I dare you not to feel something with Junior Dad. I dare you. I challenge you.
Yeah. Yeah. Lulu definitely gets way too much hate.
Y'all Metallica fanboys are just fucking upset because it's not Master of Puppets Part 2. Which, guess what? Metallica's never going to make to fucking begin with because they're a bunch of 60-year-old fucking dads. Move on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Move on.
Anything else?
A creative high for the band.
You know, just deal with it. It's not 1986 anymore. Just move the fuck on.
Yeah, it's like Nostalgia was saying, it's definitely one of their more creative albums, too.
Oh, absolutely. Like I'm far more interested in that side of Metallica than I am like the regular studio albums at this point. Like, yeah, there's still rumors of them doing an album with Lady Gaga, and I'm like, you know what? Do it. I want to hear that.
Fuck yeah.
I want to fucking hear it, dude. Lady Gaga's eventually gonna make a metal album. She's done virtually everything fucking else. She's done like singer-songwriter music. She's done disco, pop, glam. She was in A Star Is Born, for fuck's sake. She did American Horror Story. fuck it. Metal is the only thing she hasn't touched. Do it. Make a metal album.
Yeah, please. I need to hear that.
Yeah, no.
Any other unpopular opinions?
I think that'll do it for me, and I think I'm going to get going because I do have my own special guest who may or may not be waiting for me so we can get our own day on the road.
Okay, so...
I thought I would have it perfectly timed, and that was not the case.
It's okay. I'll quickly do the outro. So yeah. Robert, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to talk to us. It was a pleasure having you on.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to be here.
Plug whatever you need to plug now.
Yeah, go watch my shit on the Metal Meltdown. I stream, I rant, I rave, sometimes with some of the people who are in this room, such as Moose, Anna, Chompy. Follow me on Instagram. Don't fucking email me if you have a band. I promise you I don't check my emails often enough. Please don't. Just please don't. And that's it, if you want to learn more about heavy metal just in general, please come by to the channel and say hello sometime.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, with that in mind, thank you guys so much for checking out today's interview with the Metal Meltdown. We really appreciate it. Of course, be sure to check out everything that Robert just said there, his channel, his Instagram, everything like that. Be sure to check out our own album of the year and rate your music pages in the description. Be sure to check out the Cassette Tapes Twitter. Be sure to check out some of our other interviews and our worst to bests and our genre essentials. Actually, since this is metal related, please check out the Death Worst to Best we did with Robert himself. And of course, check out the Death Metal Essentials that we did a few weeks back. And with that in mind, my name is MickyT.
I've been Nostalgia.
And I'm Robert from the Metal Meltdown.
See ya.
Peace.
Bye. Say bye, Chompy. It doesn't matter. They can't see it, but say bye anyway.